welcome to the Shelley Studio. Today, we're going to do some gel printing. It's been a minute since I've done some, and this was done back in March, and I've just been busy with the scavenger hunt and the 100-day project that this one couldn't come out until later. Back in March, PM Artist Studios, every month they have a color combo, and I've done them a couple of times, not very successfully, but I was playing around with a previous gel printing session, and I ran across this color, Razzleberry, and I used it with a champagne color, and really liked the combination. And so I did it on this fleur-de-lis pattern, and then I had that out, and I'm like, well, that works for their color combo, which was raspberry, lime, and some sort of purple. I don't even remember now what sort of purple it was. And I can't tell you what color purple was in that bottle. That bottle was a washout, and it's long gone. I threw it in the garbage, and then the garbage has been taken out, so I can't even go look for the bottle in the garbage. Sorry about that. So I'm using evergreen, and it's not quite the right color, so I thought maybe going over, I put the stencil back in place after it had dried, and thought maybe going over with a little yellow behind it will make it look more lime green. And I did wait for it to dry. I blotted it off with some tissue paper, so that's why it looks a little different there. Oh, and then I brayered on a little bit of a color, but it didn't show up very well, so I blotted that, and I'm adding some more. So hopefully we'll have both the purple and the raspberry and the lime green when all is said and done. And yeah, it wasn't enough. It's got to be enough to like cover and moisten the paint below. And yes, this is wet strength tissue paper. I finally have some wet strength tissue paper. So excited about that. So I figured I would play with some of it. Took me forever to cut up a bunch of sheets, and I still have, like, I think I cut up 90 sheets into smaller pieces. And I had to find a home for all the rest of it. The green kind of looks limey, like it brightened it up a little bit, I think, adding the yellow behind. And you can't really see the yellow, so yeah. And that's the one I'm just using. I have some papers to the side that I'm using to blot and lift and stuff. So I'm just going to use that, and thought I would try and pick up any kind of residue that was left over. And and thought it would show through. It doesn't really show through. I don't know what I was thinking. It's tissue paper. It should be like transparent. But the wet strength tissue paper is not quite the same as just the cheap gift tissue. It holds up with some moisture. So it doesn't get as transparent. If I was using regular tissue, this stuff would have just fallen apart on the gel plate because of all the moisture in the paint. So there we go. I resolved what I wanted to do there, I guess. So I'm really just playing, and I'm using that. It's Distressed Fleur-de-Lis by PM Artist Studio. Let me see who the designer is. The designer is Ron Dodona, and it's Fleur-de-Lis Distressed. I'll link it, or try to link it in the description box below in case you're interested. I'm not affiliated with them at all. I like to play with their stuff. So yeah, I'll share that. This time I'm trying to add a little white to lighten up that green. And there's some spaces there that have a little extra white. That's okay. It makes the final print interesting. I think my paints are a little wet for this fleur-de-lis. They seem to be smudging out a little bit, just kind of squishing out. So Oh, here we go. We're going to add that to this one. And I do wait for these to dry. You just don't, you know, I edit for time so that, and I just touch it. And if it feels like it's kind of dry on the back, like with the wet strength tissue, you can really tell when it's still wet. And then, yeah, once it feels dry enough, I pull it off. And there we have another one. It's got the little white around the base, but, you know, it works. I have to put white behind it because the transparency of the tissue and the paints make it look darker. So, and yeah, I'm staring at that, trying to decide what I'm going to do with it. So I think after I used the washout purple, I went to another purple, and I have two different purples. And I'm not exactly sure which one I used. Oh, I do know which purple. It was Plum by Craftsmart. Multi-surface satin. So, and I just took out the holes with my tissue. And it didn't leave hardly anything on the plate, but I'm going to try and pull that. And we're gonna try an ombre. When I'm off screen, I'm just brayering off onto a sheet of paper to clean the brayer. So that's what I'm doing. And knocking over my paints. All right. And that one I just used regular copy paper. I wasn't sure if anything would show up, so I used the cheap stuff. And of course, it's cheap Walmart copy paper, and it wrinkles so easy. But that was quite moist, so it has to sit there for a little bit before I pull it up. And of course, again, edited for your viewing pleasure. You didn't want to watch paint dry, right? Pink I'm using is pretty transparent. And that was one of the first pulls I took when I had all that juicy paint on there from the... It was way too much paint and way too watery. But I figured I might as well print something on there. Just keep it going. And then putting that back down on the with the wet strength tissue. Just keep layering that, hoping it'll get interesting. Set that on there again. And take the other one. I'm using this Baron just to like push it down into the holes, just to make sure I get everything. And if it's going by too fast, I do have this way sped up. If it's going by too fast, I do have a flip through in the end. And I will have another video come out, probably in a few days, with what I do with some of the papers. That's new for me. I usually sit and admire. They just, you know, eventually get used. But now I decided I wanted to do something with them, so I do a little project. Trying to decide if those fleur-de-lis would show up or not. I think I decided they wouldn't, and so I would just take some white. Putting it over this tissue that I wasn't happy with, and I'm less happy after the white. on a pink. Well, because there was the razzleberry was on my brayer, so. Lifted the white off on there too. All right. Looks like I pulled out another version of green because I thought it would be more lime green. And that one is a Martha Stewart. So it's pretty old. And it's olive green, so it's not really any more lime green. But it looked a little lighter. Of course, I mixed it with yellow to help it look more limey. That paper's getting really kind of crazy looking. You know, jelly printing can be like a never-ending process because when you're using stencils, you've got the paper you use to take the whole stuff out of the holes and then the papers you use for the rest of it. So you can end up with like a bazillion pieces of paper. I don't have that. I don't end up with that many. I really did try to keep using the same pieces. I don't remember how many I end up with. But I do flip through them here at the end. Now I decided, okay, yeah, that black's history. I'm deciding that some of it needs a little spark of something. So in Makers of Mixed Media Art and Artist Facebook group, in their color challenges, you're allowed to add black, white, and a metallic. I didn't end up using any metallic, but I added a little black to that one. Jazz that up even more. And then I'm going to do it on this one too. I guess I haven't asked you today. How's everybody today? How are you doing? We're doing good here. If you've watched some of my other videos, you know I'm having roofing done. We just got the building permit. I guess you have to have that from the city. Cost $500. That's crazy. To get a permit to fix our roof. I feel like that's crazy. They have to pay extra to get permission from the city to fix your own darn roof. It's not like we're adding on. Anyway. Alright, this time I added some white to lighten that green. And we're just going to put that, I think. Do I do the whole thing? Oh, I guess I... Well, kind of spot rubbed it, so it was just in a few places. That one's got a lot of green, so it doesn't need any. So now what am I going to do with all that green? We'll put it on this weird tissue that's gotten lots of layers. This stencil is a busy stencil, and printing with it is just making everything busy. Just trying to decide what I want to do next. What do I want to do next? I'm going to add some purple. And then pull a little, see what happens. And then this one's mostly blank. It's got a lot of little tidbits of paint, so we're going to just try and pull the whole thing from there. I actually like that one. It's looking interesting. Trying to decide what that needs to finish it off. I'm going to add a little bit of white. I know that will really pink it out, but it helps make it more opaque to add that little touch of white to it. I'm adding more pink because I don't want it too light. And we're going to do the same thing here. Touch it in places, not everywhere. Just add a little pink to it. And then, yep, yet another piece of tissue. Oh, I got a whole nother piece of paper started there. I think it's got a little... No, it didn't have anything else on it. All right. So this one, I'm going to do kind of an ombre. I'm going to put purple on the bottom, white in the middle, and green and white to lighten the green on the top. And yeah, hopefully pull an ombre out of here. And I moved my brayer off paper so that I had somewhere a little closer. That white kind of stayed in a glob, but it's okay. It won't be that noticeable, I don't think. I can't remember now. So I'm going to let that sit and dry. And while it does, I'm going to just add something to this one because it's just very fuzzy, unfinished looking sort of thing. So I'm just going to use the white and stencil a little bit with the fleur-de-lis pattern in the traditional way. I'm not sure if I did, but you should dab off your sponge before going into that stencil or the paint will ooze under it. And I think it kind of probably does because I don't feel like I'm pouncing off very much of the white before going to the stencil. Just a helpful hint. So that gives you somewhere for your eye to go, right? On that piece of paper. How's it feel? Does it still feel damp? All right, here we go. That might be my favorite. I know it feels really slow, but this portion is done in real time. So that you can see the different pages. It really does look like I'm going in slow motion, but I'm pretty sure it's just real time. So here are all the pages. Let me know what you think. Do you like the really crazy busy ones or the more... Did you like that last poll? I like the last poll. Anyways, thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. I will have a follow-up video with what I do with some of these papers. And I hope you can join me then in a few days. Thank you all for watching. I hope you have an awesome day.